The Work Trump and the Ben Tray Girl. The ultimate strategy. Trump's return to politics is not expected, facing a series of lawsuits and investigations related to his business activities and past political decisions. However, these lawsuits and accusations have unintentionally become a kind of unofficial diversion, helping this character hide the great plans that are preparing for his political comeback. Every time a new lawsuit is brought up, opponents and the media focus their attention on analyzing and predicting the consequences of the accusations, placing high hopes on legal failures that will weaken Trump. However, it is in those moments that Trump uses them as a camouflage. The successive lawsuits become pieces of the puzzle, building a thick smokescreen, creating a subjective mentality in opponents and dragging them into a game that they do not realize. It is also unintentionally a form of cleverly disguised election campaigning. Trump skillfully turned these legal attacks to his advantage. He neither argued fiercely nor avoided them, but accepted them as an inevitable reality. One lawsuit after another, the public gradually became accustomed to the legal storms and the opposing sides began to disperse their forces to exploit each case. But that also blurred their focus on the real plan that he was secretly implementing. Core campaign plans and long-term strategies were prepared in the dark. When opponents thought the lawsuits would drag on and drain resources, he suddenly appeared strongly on the political scene, using those lawsuits as a clever means to distract the public from his real strategies. His plan was nothing less than a modern version of diversion, a brilliant tactic once used by General Giap, seemingly focused on one place but actually acting on a completely different battlefield. In 1968, when the Vietnam War was at its peak, General Nguyen Giap devised an unprecedented strategy. He knew that the U.S. forces were concentrating on Khe Sanh, an important military base. With his excellent command skills, General Giap devised a plan to attack the east and strike the west, creating a distraction that made the enemy think that Khe Sanh was the main target. The North Vietnamese army concentrated its forces around this base, tricking the U.S. and its allies into a strict defense. The North Vietnamese army concentrated a significant force around Khe Sanh base, deployed many fierce artillery bombardments and prepared their formations, making the U.S. side believe that this would be a key battlefield. General Westmoreland, the U.S. military commander in Vietnam, believed that the North Vietnamese were planning to recreate a second Dien Bien Phu at Khe Sanh, forcing the U.S. to mobilize a large force, including Marines, artillery, and Air Force to protect this base. However, complications began when the North Vietnamese army did not attack Khe Sanh as strongly as expected. While Westmoreland was busy focusing on defense, U.S. military intelligence received fragmentary signals about revolutionary preparations in other areas, but could not determine the exact point of attack. By Tet Mao Than, the most sacred holiday of the Vietnamese people, General Giap launched a large-scale general attack across the south. A series of cities from Hue, Da Nang, to Saigon were shaken by the surprise attacks. Logistics warehouses, information centers, and command bases of the U.S. and Allied armies were continuously attacked. The North Vietnamese army not only targeted strategic targets but also attacked important infrastructure, causing serious disruption to the U.S. military's logistics and communication systems. Westmoreland quickly fell into a state of confusion, not knowing where the main force of the enemy was. Intelligence reports poured in from all over, with every city reporting a major attack, making it difficult for him to coordinate his forces and plan a counterattack. The U.S. military logistics team was also misled by the real and fake, and could not determine what was the urgent need for supplies, leading to chaos in the allocation of resources and manpower. General Westmoreland and his command team began to feel exhausted by General Giap's strategy. The defensive efforts at Khe Sanh became meaningless, and the U.S. military was spread out across the battlefields, losing its strategic focus. While the U.S. military still tried to defend the attacked strongholds, they completely fell into the psychological and tactical trap that General Giap had outlined from the beginning, showing the power of diversion in the east and attack in the west in modern warfare. Similar to General Giap's diversionary tactics, former President Trump has turned legal cases into an attack on his opponent's focus and psychology. When opponents think they are approaching his weakness, they only become more scattered, fall into unnecessary fronts, and lose sight of the main character's real strategies. Just as General Westmoreland experienced the confusion in resource allocation, Trump's opponents are also led into a state of chaos, focusing on fake issues while ignoring his larger goals. Just as General Giap confused and distracted his opponents, Trump uses legal cases as a natural form of diversion. As each lawsuit appears one after another, his opponents think this is an opportunity for him to reveal his weakness and be taken down. But in reality, these lawsuits are just a smokescreen for the covert strategies that the protagonist is secretly deploying. While the public and media are caught up in legal disputes and waste resources following every development of the lawsuit, the protagonist is preparing for a major campaign. Just as General Giap created a distraction strategy at Key Sand to conceal the main attack on major cities, this character uses the turmoil from the lawsuits to distract his opponents and keep them from anticipating his real moves. The diversion tactic not only appears on the battlefield but also serves as a lesson in the skillful use of distractions in politics and the public. This emphasizes that, whether in war or peace, the skillful use of distraction can be the key to gaining the ultimate strategic advantage.